So I think we will start. So greetings, welcome to another session with Somaste. In all our Soma program, Somaste instead of Namaste. And meaning, Soma means body. In Greek, Somatic. And Soma in Sanskrit means nectar or essence of life. So Somaste means I honor my body containing the essence of life. Because if body is not there, everything will disappear. If our mind is dysfunctional, our emotions are not working, we'll be okay, but the body is vital. And in the beginning, we always say words of right care, because that is the foundation of all our programs. Right care for my body, feelings, intellect, and wisdom. Right care for my family, community, country, and earth. Let this right care come from a sense of oneness, love, and action. Let this right care take me to the bliss of conscious existence. I affirm it, I affirm it, I affirm it in my somatic self. So instead of authentic self or some other self, it is somatic self. And somatic self means when my body, my emotions, and my intellect are functioning in harmony. Normally, there is such a split. So my emotions are saying something, my body is demanding one thing, and my intellect is going in a different direction. So we have tremendous conflict inside because we are multi-layered being. If we become simple, there is no conflict. So these multiple layers of consciousness, you can say, they are not in harmony. They are not in organic unity. So the whole idea of any one of our program is to establish that unity. And just to tell you about, because we are going to have 10 sessions, 5 before Christmas and 5 after Christmas. They are basically conversation and dialogue, critical inquiry and critical questioning. So please feel free to ask any question. But we are going to approach them in a scientific way, not on belief, not on faith. Because science can take you to a point, and that point is very high. After that, science is useless, because then we take a leap into the realm which is beyond time, beyond space. So science only functions within the field of time and space. But that limit is very, very high, because what we call normally God, it is within the realm of science. So the traditional definition of God in Western world and quantum field, quantum force field, they are equivalent. If we will have time, I will go in some details about it. So you can reach the God through science. But of course, in some cultures, God is defined which is beyond everything. This God I'm talking, to whom we pray, we demand from that God becomes psychotherapist. That God is still within the realm of science. So science can take us. So we are going to be the scientist. And ultimately, when we will come to the last session, we'll take a leap also in understanding. So in these 10 sessions, what we are going to cover? Emotional dysregulation, which is when emotions are not regulated properly, they become the cause of sickness. We will move to emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence when emotions are functioning very well and they are in harmony with our thoughts and body to an extent, individual. Emotional intelligence. And finally, emotional wisdom, when these emotions become universal. So, one of the example of emotional wisdom is Rumi. Rumi reached that point. He's emotionally wise, expanded. Of course, he talks about God and other things, but basically, he is emotionally wise from our point of view. So the first question is, what are emotions? If we could define, then we will become very clear what they do, from where they come, how they evolved. Anybody has any idea, definition? Matt, please.
A form of energy.
It is a form of energy. Wonderful. So first thing is, whatever happens to us, including emotion, is a form or a pattern of energy. You had question, Joe?
Oh, and I was just going to say emotions contain some message or intelligence.
Exactly. So it has a message, of course. All emotions are messengers of life. They are the messengers of life. They are trying to tell us what is going on, whether life is good or something is not good. So, energy. I will connect it to the chakras because we will be pulling all kinds of things in order to understand. So, chakras basically we will take as metaphors. So, some of you who are familiar with chakra, first chakra is called root chakra, is a chakra of matter, connected our feet, connected to our feet. Second chakra, which is just above the pubic bone, is the chakra of energy, life energy. And the third chakra, which is between belly button and the pit of the stomach here, is the chakra of emotions. So basically, third chakra is emotion. So what happened? Second chakra is of energy, but that energy moves up and it forms patterns. They become emotion. As you said, emotions are nothing else but patterns of energy. When it moves here, fourth chakra, heart chakra, it becomes feelings. And there is a difference between emotions and feelings. Emotions you can observe. Feelings you cannot observe. Feelings are subjective. So I'm angry, you can see my anger, emotions. But I suppress my anger in such a way you cannot see that I'm really angry. That is only feeling. So they are the two sides. One side you can see emotions, other side you cannot see feeling, subjective and objective. So here, and then energy moves here in the fifth chakra, it becomes thinking, cognitions, reflection. So same energy a second chakra, when it moved up, it is taking different patterns. We call emotions, we call feeling, we call thinking. It is because of our brain. Different levels of brain convert this energy into emotions, feeling, and thinking. So, for example, electricity in this room. Electricity is flowing in the wire, but it becomes the computer part, whatever is visible on computer or camera or a light or a fan. This is fundamentally the same energy, electrical energy. So same thing here. This electric energy got a different pattern. Here we have some kind of technical device, but in the brain, different levels. Are we clear? So it's energy at a different level. That is why those living beings, for example, bacteria, they didn't have the brain structure, or plants, they didn't have emotions. They had sensations, basics. But then came the alligators, lizards, and all those reptiles. First time there were biological emotions. We will go in full detail to it, so we will understand. Then came mammals, cows, dogs, cat, tigers, so on and so forth. What happened in them? In them, these basic emotions were even more refined and they became social emotion. We know very well that in dogs, emotions are very well developed. They feel guilty, right? Guilt is a social emotion. It is a psychological emotion. But in human, in us, they are very well developed. So number one fact, emotions are nothing as energy. So with that comes the definition of emotions. Emotions come from a French word, émouvoir. Émouvoir means external movement, action. Emotion, external motion, external movement. So basically, this emotions, which is a form of energy, motivates us to take action. And what is that action? Action is to protect life, to preserve life. So you are threatening me on the street, I will become angry. I will shout, get out of my way, go away. Why? Because it was threatening. A car is cutting my way, dangerous. I may shout, I may become angry. Why? Because I want to preserve my life. So emotions, they are action. Action to protect and preserve life. And also make life better. So, example, anger. Can you imagine the first woman in North America who wanted to vote? She wanted to participate in this whole process. Now we see it everywhere, we don't even think it twice. But think of decades and decades ago when they didn't have right to vote. They couldn't become a lawyer. They couldn't become a pilot. There was an anger. So what anger induced? Action. I want my rights. People of different color, people who are gay, all kinds of things, these emotions. So whenever we take action, it is because of our emotions. So that is why if we understand emotion, we know how to use them. We not only protect ourselves, we make our world better. emotion, action. Right? Now we must go a little bit in evolution to understand again. Life emerged on Earth roughly 4 billion years ago, and it emerged in the form of single cell living beings. First of all, with nucleus, without nucleus, and later on with nucleus, around 4 billion years. And this life form has sensation, sensing. They didn't have emotion. They were sensing what is harmful, what is not harmful. Their life was very simple. It was not differentiated. So their survival was possible, but it was more precarious because they didn't have a very well developed mechanism or brain. Their whole body was basically the brain. After that came the plants, multicellular living forms, and later on, at the level of reptiles, came the brain. And that brain is still there in us. The lowest part of the brain, it is also called sometimes reptilian brain, which is directly connected to the body, and it protects the body, preserves the body, preserves the life in the body. That is what. And it is, we inherit it from that reptilians, as I was saying, crocodile, lizard, or even frogs, all those animals. And this part of the brain is connected with biological emotions. Biological emotions. Then we further evolved. Then emerged the middle part of the brain, which is called mammalian brain. Mammals means those living beings who feed, tend their children. They have mammary glands. And once that happened, then emerged love and attachment. In these reptiles, there was no sense of love and attachment, so much so that when the babies were born to these reptiles, babies have to disappear as quickly as possible because otherwise they will be eaten by their parents. It was just the nature. But in us or in other mammals, we tend our baby, we protect them, we will give our lives for our children. That was entirely absent. They were born and they have to fend for themselves. And of course, then as we evolved more, our brain, everything became very sophisticated, very refined. So at reptilian brain, it was biological emotions, and then it became social emotions. And there is a fundamental difference between them. It was a result of evolution. So history of emotions is very old, and we possess two types. Primarily, one is biological emotion and second is social or cultural emotions. Are we clear about it? And in bacteria, in plants, it was only energy. But then the brain came, energy formed patterns. Biological emotion, further complicated, not complicated, complex pattern became social emotions. So emotions are at the very heart of human being. and a very difficult one to regulate also. Lot of people, they grow physically, no problem. They can master intellectual skills, but to master their emotion, to become emotionally intelligent and wise is quite difficult. That is why if you meet people, they are 40 years old, 45 years old, 35 years old, they look physically good and they master their skills, and they are so good in architecture, in medicine, in engineering. But once you talk to them, you can, in a lot of people, see their emotional ripening or emotional age is lagging behind their physical and intellectual age. And it is so visible in corporate world. The inventor, the scientists, these business people, I mean, they create huge corporations. Their bodies are so good, their intellectual capacity is so good, but the way they talk, the way they behave, you look into biography, they are emotionally stuck somewhere 15 years age, 17, 18, they behave like a teenage. Sir.
I have a question. When you use the idiom act your age,
Pardon?
when someone says act your age,
Mhm.
well, if you've never been that age before, how do you know your reaction or emotion should be?
That's
Is there
right.
some standard here?
That's right. That's right. And that is what we are going to talk when we talk about emotional intelligence. Yes, there is a standard. Of course, it's a spectrum. It is not a pinpoint. But nonetheless, yes, there is a emotional age. And there was some reason in the past. It could be a trauma. It could be some circumstances. Are stuck. But their intellectual ability and their physical ability, they're marvelous. So that is why to talk about emotions is of so vital importance, because despite our physical body and intellectual capacity, we cannot have life satisfaction if our emotions are not regulated, they are not in right place. Because in humans, in the middle part of the brain, which regulates emotion, is also connected with our pleasure centers intimately. So if emotions are not regulated, they will create problem. Any question so far? Anything which is not clear? Doug.
If someone's not acting their age,
Pardon?
if someone's not acting their age, I'm thinking, hope you don't mind, of Elon Musk. He exemplifies that entirely.
Oh,
There's a reason why he's stuck at probably 50, if you follow his biography. Would someone like that, now that he's technically mature, ever be able to move past that blockage?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty of our brain, that it doesn't matter where you are stuck. The moment you become conscious about it, you can change it. Our brain is changeable. So that part of the brain where things are stuck, you can change. A lot of people change after a tremendous tragedy. I have seen so many of them. We can't even recognize. So they come and we wonder, oh, you are the same person. The whole behavior changed, the whole expression is changed, the whole tone is changed. Totally, at any point in life. Right? So in evolution, emotions came later. finally came the cognitive or thinking or reflecting mind. So question comes, why nature created emotions at all? Because then we will understand its importance. Why? Yes, Enrico.
Maybe protection?
Protection is one. So we'll elaborate, then we'll come to you. So the first point is emotions preserve and protect life. How? I think I explained partly, but fear. What fear does? It protects life. Love, attachment, what it does? Protect the life of the baby or the other person. Anger protects the life. Sadness protects the life. Disgust protects the life. So you are having a food and then you feel there is a very funny smell in this food. You feel disgust. And you don't want to eat because it is contaminated. It protected the life. Happiness. In happiness, what we do? We connect to other people. Protects life, because more people I'm connected to, more protective it becomes. That is why loneliness is such a big problem in our world, and actually it is coming to the dangerous level. So much so, and I told that England was the first country who created a ministry of loneliness, and now it is in Japan. Because if we go through chronic loneliness, it will kill us. So first thing is preservation and protection of life. Yes. Please, you, and then Crystal. You wanted to say something? No? No. Okay. Crystal?
Well, you had mentioned it in your example there, but it also creates community
Yes.
and connected. We're connected to each other.
Exactly. That community will, protect us. Cooperation.
I'm thinking of, we're getting into physical terms
Yes.
of emotional senses, which may be non-physical.
It may be non-physical. It may be psychological.
And how is that jump or that?
Because they are completely intertwined. You cannot separate body from emotions, from thoughts. It is mind-body continuum. 60 years ago, in Western world, they thought mind and body are distinct. And it was the French philosopher Descartes who said, I think, therefore I am. He thought body is like a machine and mind is ghost, some kind of happening in this machine. But he didn't think they are together. So much so, for him, other life form was just like a machine. So he dissected his own cat alive. That is a machine. It doesn't have any life.
If you have this dualism,
Yes.
and then you have empiricism,
Yes.
now are they clashing?
They will clash. Because in dualism, mind-body dualism means my mind is different from my body, but somehow they are put together, just like ghost in the machine. It is not true. So everything is intertwined, and it happened with the research of Robert Eder. He was, I think, a pharmacologist who first time demonstrated that our body affects mind, our mind affects the body. Then came the research in United States in the women with breast cancer. These women with breast cancer, if they were given emotional support, their survival rate increased. How it could happen that body was affected through emotional support in such a solid way? And then came plethora of researches. And finally, Candace Pert, a pharmacologist who is credited for discovery of endorphin, he put it together, and she said, whenever we think something, whenever we experience emotion, certain molecules are released. Those are called peptide, and they go into each cell of the body. They affect whole of the body. So she wrote a beautiful book, Molecules of Emotions. Our emotions are turned into molecules. And with that started mind-body medicine, which is called psycho-neuro-immuno-endocrinology. Long name, simple. My thoughts, my emotions will affect my brain will affect my endocrine glands will affect my immune system, and my immune system will affect each cell of the body. In East, means in India, that dichotomy never happened. Mind and body, they were continuum. There are various levels, but nonetheless continuum. So there is no discontinuity. So the first function of emotions, which is a form of energy, which takes a pattern in particular part of the brain, is to protect and preserve life. Nature gave additional mechanism to us. Is there any other function of emotions? Pardon? Pleasure. Yes. How that pleasure comes? Pardon?
Don't create all the emotion.
Emotions are created. We don't create emotions. Emotions are already there. We experience them.
Emotions are key to making decisions.
Key to making decisions. Why?
Oh, otherwise, you can do rational things, but even if you line them all up, you still have to say, well, I think that's the best one. Because the criteria may not necessarily show importance.
Right. Doug rightly said, we will come to the pleasure also, that emotions give value to each person, each experience, each event. My daughter is different from all daughters. Even all other daughters I'm meeting, I won't put in the same category as one clump. No, I like this friend's daughter better than other friend's daughter. I prefer Chinese food. I prefer particular type of color, particular type of car. Parents, city, landscape, every single thing which we experience, we put a tag of value. I'm going to give 2 marks, 4, 6, 10, 12, and so on and so forth. Valuation. And that is why the prime researcher of emotion, if you are interested in very deep research, is Antonio Damasio. One of his patients had stroke or some damage to that part which deals with the emotions. He called him Peter, And one day he asked him that, listen, this evening we are going to go for a dinner. Here are two menus from two different restaurants. Please choose the restaurant and also what you would like to eat. Poor Peter is struggling 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. He couldn't reach any decision. Although he put very clearly what is good and what is not good, but only it was through the logic. Because emotions were lost in that person, he couldn't decide which restaurant to go. We decide immediately, oh, today, oh yeah, Italian. Tomorrow this, tomorrow. How I know where I want to go? It is again, we are putting value. So if somebody is thinking everything is equal, in those spiritual movement, in those sentimental movement, everything is equal, everything is just same, created by God and nature, utter nonsense. We can never look. Even an enlightened person like Buddha will evaluate. All his disciples are different from him. He won't clump them into one. It is an impossibility. So idea of equality is defective. So-called communism, everything equal. Inequality is the law of nature, but in human beings we can provide equal opportunities. That's different matter. But if I'm clumping every person in the class, listen, all these great students, no. I'm doing a great disservice. We are fundamentally different. But we should be provided with all basic opportunity so we could flourish.
Yeah, if you combine that, this may be the same thing, but I think it may be slightly different. If you take Maslow's hierarchy or the Kabbalah, it's got a hierarchy, and there's various hierarchies, including potentially Somatis.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, the internal communication, when you engage in those hierarchies, emotion.
Yes.
So it's partly decision making,
Yes.
and it's partly survival, but it goes beyond that.
Exactly.
So if you're looking at Maslow, we'll take him because he's convenient. Looking at self-actualization, that's an emotional rush.
Of course. But that is in the form of feeling.
Oh, okay, all right.
Right.
Thank you. I get it.
Right. We will come to that to clarify. So, but first of all, function of emotion. So we discovered one is protection and preservation of life. That is very fundamental. Second is we give value to each experience, event, and person. So we divide everything into many things. What is the last function of emotion? It gives our world colors. Otherwise, all colors will be lost. That is why if you ask a depressed person in whom there is the emotional flattening, or if we are given a medication, psychotropic or whatever in psychiatry, and our emotions become flat, world becomes such a gray and dull. So a lot of people go off their medication. And some people think, what is the use of living? I'm living in this homogeneous gray world. So emotions give excitement, thrill, joy, sorrow, guilt, anger, all kinds. That is why third chakra is called Manipura, a city of jewels, a variety of jewels. Very rightly said, it glitters all kinds of colors. That is human world. And we want to experience them. We just don't want a flat gray world. It will be too dull. Colors come from emotions, not through the eyes. So if I'm depressed and I'm looking at the autumn trees, it won't evoke any joy. Cognitively, I will know, yeah, this is autumn. These trees are flourishing with colors. Because I know in my extended family, it happened. And the person we used to go for a walk. And person said, listen, I know it's such a beautiful spring. Because I remember from the past where it doesn't evoke any joy, any sense of energy. So eyes are perceiving color, mind is analyzing color, but emotions are not there. Nothing happens.
So when the color comes through through the eyes, it's red or blue. The brain is just saying it's red or blue.
That's right. Red and blue. But that red and blue doesn't evoke any. Otherwise, red will say, oh yeah, I know, it's so vibrant. It's so fresh. Oh, gives me the goosebumps or chills. Or the blue, oh, it makes me so calm, so peaceful. Looking at the sky, such a vastness. So all that is gone.
Colors can be multivalent. You can have the same frequency.
Mm-hmm.
You've analyzed it, you've perceived it, but there may be an association politically with going to red.
Right.
That could have a very strong negative or positive emotion, right?
Exactly, because that is what we said, joy, sorrow, guilt, all kinds of this glittering city of jewel of all kinds. Yes, sir.
And I worked with deaf children. And music can be very nice, smooth, relaxing, comfortable. But if you're a deaf, or if you're blind, then is there something that's missing from all these external experiences of the physical world, that if someone does not have these senses? So what's happening? Are they missing out? Are they compensating? Or how is that gap filled, if ever?
Right. So the question is deaf and mute or blind. How many senses we have? We have 8. 8. First 5 we know, the eyes and the ear and the taste and the smell and touch. The 6th sense is proprioception. Proprioception is when I'm walking, I know how I have to walk. 1 foot in front of each other, and I know where I'm walking in the middle of the room. So I know my orientation in space. That comes from my joint muscles and ligaments. 6th. 7th sense is balance. And a lot of people, they develop vertigo, dizziness. Why? Because that sense comes from ear part. And also there is a part of the brain that is 7th sense. 7 senses are very good to function in the world, but there is a 8th sense now very much emphasized in the science. It is called interoception. 7 senses, I take the world, I receive the word, I connect to the external world. But interoception, through interoception, where I connect? To the internal world. The life which is flowing in me, and it is sending the messages I receive through that 8th sense. Interoception. I'm hungry. Who's telling me? internal sense. I'm thirsty. My bladder is full. I want to go to the washroom. I'm cold. I'm hot. And all those lot of sensations they come. So there are 8 senses. So that is why in a deaf and mute and blind, other senses are still functional. And this is brain's capacity. We call it functional neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity means my brain is very resilient, very flexible, so it will compensate for other senses. They will become very acute, very sharp. So still I will be an emotional person. Because brain is still intact, which perceive these emotions. Right.
What role then do emotions, or is it a key role that emotions play in self-discovery, or is that more about feelings? Like self-discovery, like discovering, like do emotions play a key role in that?
It will. So as I said, you cannot separate emotions from feelings. Feeling is the subjective part. Emotional part is objective part, which I am expressing through my gestures, through my face. So at this point, I think we must clarify, because you asked, what is consciousness? How you will define consciousness?
Awareness?
Awareness, but what is awareness?
I feel.
A feeling. Feeling. Consciousness is nothing else. I mean, people give very complicated definition, very complex. It is simple feeling. I'm feeling, that is why I'm conscious. Then I will express it, what I'm feeling, how it is. I will give it a structure, definition, that, okay, I'm aware about this room and there is a yoga mat and there are 9 people. But in the beginning, what it is, simply a feeling. And I'll give you one example which happens to everyone. If you are traveling, you are in a very new hotel, new place, new bed, you are very tired, you fell asleep, and then you woke up. You don't know where you are. But still, you feel that you are there. You don't know what is this city for a moment. After that, immediately the memory comes, oh yeah, I remember. I traveled through airplane, so I'm in London, I'm staying in this 5-star hotel. All the knowledge rushes. But before those thought rushes, there is a moment. Nothing is there. There is no name, there is no form, but still I know I am there. I think all of us feel. Sometimes it happens in the night also, even in our bed. So we have to understand consciousness is feeling. All levels. And ultimately what we call enlightenment, samadhi, nirvana, ultimate, that is also a feeling, but feeling beyond all feelings. Because all other feelings are about anger, joy, sorrow, whatever we experience. But ultimate feeling is beyond all this feeling. It is a homogeneous, tranquil, pure feeling which has no boundary. Anger has boundary, love has boundary, guilt has boundary, but this has no boundary. Because all these emotions and feelings are connected with specific people, specific circumstances. Ultimate feeling has none of those boundaries. We are completely released into infinite, eternal, timeless feeling.
Then how do you know if you're there?
Pardon?
How would you know if you're there?
Because just your existence, you are just in a state of what we call being, just feeling your existence, nothing else. Otherwise, everything is tranquil. Because if you can't do that, then you are unconscious. Meanwhile, this feeling is of pure consciousness. No other feeling, nothing is disturbing you. You are in a state of pure being, pure consciousness. To sum it up, for the sake of clarity, emotions motivate us to take action. It preserves life. It gives colors to life. And that is how we can make decision, by putting a value tag on everything. Without that, our world will become very dull and flat. So emotions have such big advantage. But of course, once the emotions are not expressed, are not channelized, they become poison. Poison.
Poison.
Poison. Otherwise, they are like medicine, but they become poison. In right quantity, emotions are like medicine, health, protection, preservation, joy. In excess, they become poison. We'll explore that fully with each emotion. Duck.
Remember, as you said it, the Mayans, emotions that are not expressed, particularly sadness, become stones inside.
Pardon?
The Mayans, emotions that are not expressed, that don't get out, become stones inside.
Yes.
It's a different way of saying poison.
Yeah, that's right.
Say it again, please. I'm sorry.
Well, the Mayans-
Hearing, so I couldn't-
The Mayans said that emotions that are not expressed, particularly sadness, become like tears, become stones inside. Like you retain them inside.
Right,
you.
Yeah, like a heavy burden.
Extra weight you-
Rock is just like rock sitting in your heart.
I can't help but ask, but what about if someone claims to have an out-of-body experience?
Mhm.
Now, I'm looking at language to define what that means, or someone else is trying to depict that. So what I'm saying is it's gone beyond the physical to the metaphysical if they have been in that state of an out-of-body experience.
Yeah, it is not metaphysical. It is a very ordinary experience. If you are meditating for some time deep in meditation, it is a part of it. Two experiences which are very common is, number one, you can start seeing aura around the people, and second is out of body. But in out of body, one thing remains, there is a silvery cord which is with you. So you are connected with the body. It is not metaphysical. Metaphysical is in the absolute last stage. But a lot of people can confuse very simple experiences which happens, religious experience, metaphysical. They are not. We will pick up that topic next time, so we'll become very clear about what is physical, what is not, what is metaphysical. So physical and metaphysical, and what is the difference? This is very important to differentiate, because if I identify a physical experience as metaphysical, I'm stuck. Because then I will have sense I arrived. I crossed the boundary of physical, not knowing actually still we are revolving in physical realm. I would like to go in some details and give the origin of it.
Do you mind just defining then sensations with emotions and feelings for me?
Right. Sensation is the way of communicating, or I will say cells, individual cells, they communicate through sensations. So, for example, your body cells. So that is why in Buddhism, what they say, okay, feel your body and notice sensation. There will be a lot of sensations. Don't get attached to them, just keep on scanning for these sensations. Because then we are at cellular level, at the level of the body. Then the second part comes, okay, now become conscious of your emotions. So now we move from energy, because energy is sensation, to patterns of energy. And that becomes emotions. So, okay, aware of your emotion, whatever emotions are going on, you just notice them, just feel them and let go. Then they will come to the thoughts. Thoughts will be rising, thoughts will be disappearing. Don't pay any attention, just observe them. So sensations is energy, and it is a means of communication by the cells which forms the body. That is what sensations are. So in Soma, that is what we want to return to the body. So we always say, feel the sensations. Yes.
So then, can you? What are the emotions that?
Emotions are when these energies, so many sensations, they come together in a pot. I will give you an example of music. There are individual notes, right, in music. What is music? Music is combinations and permutations of these individual notes in a particular pattern. So energy is at the very basic level, life energy, that is producing sensations. Now these various sensations, they are taking different patterns. And those patterns are emotion, just like in music. Or painting, there are 5 colors, they are equivalent to sensation, and then you mix those colors and creating a painting. It becomes emotion. I'm just giving different analogies here. Origin is the same, pattern is different. Yes, Doug.
Information, sensations turns into, when it becomes pattern, it becomes
Emotions.
knowledge.
Yes.
Or emotions. And
Yes.
then when it goes up a level, then you have understanding and finally wisdom.
Yes, that's right.
So I read somewhere that like a thought does a thought create an emotion in you, or is it just that same energy that's coming through the mental?
It's the same energy. It is all about energy. Same source.
So you're not creating it, it's just information that the thought could relate to.
It is natural to you. It is a part of your body or your being. You are just noticing them. You are not creating anything. It's already there. It is given to us at the time of birth. That is why one of the ways to regulate emotion is to take your consciousness to the level of energy. And if you are able to do that, then it will be very interesting that somebody assaulted you by words, and you will feel this massive surge of sensations in the body. If you are able to capture at that level, they won't turn into emotion of anger. You will feel heat. That's the beauty. You will feel heat, this massive surge, and you are feeling somewhat hot. If you are not able to capture, then they will reach the middle part of the brain, and now they will become emotion of anger. At the third level, thinking, the emotion will go to the level of thinking, and you will think, this guy assaulted me so many times. this time I'm going to do something because he's working in this place and I know the boss. So I'm going to punish him. Now the thinking came. All past, all future. So from energy to emotions to thinking. It's a single energy which is flowing.
Yeah, you almost feel it like a pressure cooked up to the brain,
Exactly.
and then you're just in your brain.
Exactly. If you capture at the energy level, you mastered it.
I once heard a Rebbe say, if you see something that bothers you,
Mm-hmm.
is disturbing to you, do something about it
Mm-hmm.
or change yourself.
Yes. Beautifully said. Because some people will say, okay, if you have experienced something, say it, express it. It doesn't apply to all. Because other people will say, no, I don't want to say something, but let my whole being be changed by this experience. I experienced it all the time in my life because I suffered from anxiety and panic attack. I never told anyone. Even my wife never could guess that I'm suffering from this. Why? It became a tool for transformation to me. Because it was working inside me, that whole fear and anxiety, for decades. But in other instances, there was anger, and I knew I have to express it. Otherwise, it will become a poison. So we have to discover our own way of dealing with it. There is no clear-cut rule that, okay, either you retain in your side or you express it. You have to feel what effect it is creating.
So that Viktor Frankl said that the ultimate option is how you respond to things.
That's correct.
That's what you're talking about. And you're
Yes.
showing the mechanism, not necessarily philosophical, but a physiological
Yes.
mechanism for making that happen. Correct?
That's right.
Yeah, amazing.
I think next time we will take questions from,
Yeah, right now there aren't any.
yeah,
People do want to ask questions.
that's right, because in the future we'll say, please ask question, and then we can respond to that. So up to this point, I think we are clear. Emotions is connection with the brain, evolution, what it does, and it is nothing else but potentiality in this world and inner world both. All reformation, revolution, changes, development, progress in our world comes through emotions because they motivate us for action. Same thing happens inside when we feel, and through that feeling, because that is other side of emotion, subjective, then our inner world start changing. That's the beauty of emotion. Emotions for outer world, feeling for inner world. But how that happens, we will leave it for the next session. Because what I would like to do, unless there is a question, I would like to do some body poses, which is connected with emotion of love. Because there are two fundamentals. Fear is the mother of all emotions. And once we are able to transcend fear, it becomes love. If there is a fear, there cannot be love. If there is a love, there cannot be any fear. Impossible. So fear and love, but of course we will go through all emotions one by one and their mechanism. But here it is about love, because that is where we want to be ultimately.
I don't know if anyone's near my age, but I can't help but think that You probably never heard of them, but a group called the Beatles. They went to India to explore. And the main message that came back was love. Does anyone remember?
And
Yes.
Dr. Jivasu was in Rishikesh, which is exactly where they went.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he knows Rishikesh really well.
No,
Yeah, because I lived in Rishikesh in a monastery for 5 years. And then after many years, I went to teach courses in Rishikesh. It stopped because of the COVID.
It's just making a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Cycle.
Wasn't that Jivasuji Mahesh Yogi was their teacher?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Still, there are 84 meditation cells which Mahesh Yogi created for Beatles. So you can visit that place. We went many times, did some video shooting. It's a very interesting place. Right. So please have enough space because we are going to do some body movement to refresh body, and it is all about love. 6 somatic poses about love. And the first pose is receiving love. Your hands are raised towards the ceiling because you want to receive love, the universal love. Your body is stretched, so it is not relaxed or lax, stretched. So there is a little tension in the body. You are receiving love. Maintain this pose for a few seconds and I will let you know when to relax. Feel as if you are receiving love. And after that, storing love in your heart. So bringing your hands on your chest. Body will remain in a stretch. So there is some tension in the feet, leg, shoulders, and back. And then giving love. So stretching your arms forward. So whatever love was stored, you are offering to others. Body will remain fully stretched. And now inviting love by turning your palms towards yourself. You are inviting love. and then embracing yourself with love. It is a self-embrace. Body will remain stretched. And finally, surrendering in love or radical acceptance in love. And then again, becoming straight, coming to the seated pose. So with closed eyes, feeling yourself, and allow this feeling of love to expand and fill the whole room. Everybody becomes the part of you. And then just relaxing. And slowly opening our eyes. So these 6 poses of love: receiving, storing, offering, inviting, embracing, surrender. The last part is about emotional wisdom. So before we conclude the session, any questions, any thought, anything which you'd like to incorporate? Now you know the rough structure of the program. Yes.
Absolutely intrigued that you said fear was the mother of all emotions. I find that fascinating.
That's right.
My very favorite, or one of my very favorite science fiction books, Dune, the mantra in that is fear is the mind killer.
Mhm.
So now I'm also hearing that fear is the emotion killer as well. Isn't it?
Yes.
It pushes everything else out, which makes sense if emotions are all about survival.
No, actually, it doesn't kill, but it expresses itself in so many ways. What is anger?
Yes, that's fear of
It is fear.
getting your way or fear of all
Yes.
that stuff. Yeah.
That's right. What is freeze reaction? Is fear. What is guilt?
Yes.
Fear.
Being found out.
I will be punished by some force or somebody. I have a fear. What is jealousy? It's fear. Pride is fear in order to overcome the fear. So you can see that fear can directly express itself in the form of anxiety or fear per se, but it finds its energy into all kinds of excuses and other subtle emotions. Yeah. So fear is contraction. We shrink. Love, expansion.
In sign language, the sign for fear is that exactly. It's a draw in and of the hands.
Right. Will you like to repeat what you said?
In sign
Language.
Sure, I used to be
Okay.
but in sign language, the sign for fear
Mhm.
is the hands coming up, bent in, and drawing into yourself.
Right. Shrinking,
And the sign for love, is love, but then
expanding. So if there is no question, I will conclude the session with these words. May we all live for 100 years in peace. May we all live for 100 years with vitality. May we all live for 100 years in love.